first issue we have is a stuck filler cap. So I looked online for this, and there's people that say, you know, if you put the key into it, put something under there, stand on the pegs and pull hard while turning it, it will come undone. There's other options, which is drilling it, but they don't really say or give too much indication of what's behind there. So what I've actually just done is, this rubber seal is part of the cap, so I've actually just got under that and prised that off, surprisingly. So that's come off, leaving the lock in situ. So the lock now comes out. There we go. And what we can see, so I'll clean that out, have a look. I'm guessing that this piece here is the actual ratchet, or the bit that's supposed to turn. So what I might try is, first of all, see if it either prizes or turns within that space. So once I've had a pry around at that, I'll come back to you. I wasn't sure what was under this, how this fitted, whether it was a screw, whether it was like a pin and half screw or whatever. So looking at replacement ones, I've worked out that this metal ring you can see here is part of the bigger piece. The plastic inside is the bit that just holds the top piece on with the lock in it. So it's a whole multiple turns screw. So this is obviously corroded on. So what I've got here is actually a oil filter removal kind of spider that you could put your ratchet onto. So I've put that on there, and with a bit of force it's now gripping into it, and there we go. Okay. Got it, and that'll be why it was stuck. So we'll clean that up. Let's have a look inside the tank. So I think it's just around that edge, because I don't know if you can see that, but looking inside, what I'll do is I'll go and get a torch and we'll have a look in there. There we go. Camera doesn't want to focus on the distant object, it's trying to focus on the lip. But there we go. Let's come back a bit. So that is pretty good in there. So it is just this outer lip that's got the rust issue. I'll clean all that paint off there, grease that properly, and we should be good to go. I've hooked up a temporary battery to one on the bench over there, or Pepsi, and just wanted to see what works, basically, what things I've got to delve into. I've only got one key for this, I need to get another one cut, but straight away the clock sprung into life. So that's a good sign, I suppose. One thing works. Ignition on, and we've got a headlight, it would appear. Voltage is low on the battery that I've got on there by the look of it. It's just a bench one, it's a knackered one that I use just for LED lights and things like that. So what have we got going on here? So down here we've got high-low switch. So let's see. Yes, we've got some high-low. Horn. Oh, trying with a limited battery. Indicators. Yep, you can hear those clicking. No indicator light on here, but yep, that's left, right. What have we got going on at the rear? Okay, one of the rears isn't working. it's just actually the rear light isn't on either. Need to check and see if these are things that work when the engine's running or not. Oh, it's decided to work. Okay, so we've got a connection problem there. Also, rear light should be on, I think. So let's just try the other one. Left hand, yeah. Left hand is working. So it looks like we've got a rear light problem. Let's switch that off. Start button, kill switch. Won't try that yet. Need to check out the engine. So all good so far. Electric's working mostly. Check the rear light out. Just cleaning off the tops of the carbs just with a kind of Dremel small brush. Okay, and we're just getting there with some metal polish a little bit later to bring out the extra shine on that. I said a little earlier there was no turn signal lights. They are actually, we're covered in dust. So down the middle here we've got a turn oil that looks like a GEN for generator. I'm guessing that's implying that the alternator's putting something out. A neutral light, and can't quite see what that says on the bottom one there. High beam, I think that's the high beam light. So obviously those aren't working. So I just put my hand down the back. There is a block connector on the back of this, which appears not to be connected. Difficult to see in here. I've kind of got hold of it there. I haven't got a light to shine in there at the moment. So what I need to do in order to get these off, basically take my steering damper knob off. It looks like this plastic cowl is a push fit. Yes, it is. There we go. And then I've got 3 bolts under here that attach this onto a little carriage frame. So I'll just take those off. They're just right. Found the 10mm. Oh, no. No, there isn't. It is on those. That is push fit. It's pushed onto the end. There we go. Of those 3. Yeah. Okay, and what we've got going on behind is actually not been fitted, or it's broken. So what's behind this? Let's just get the camera to show you. Behind the clocks, we've got that screw not fitted properly or pulled through. Might have pulled through, but this is the connector that goes on it. So I can see. Right, I got it plugged back in. Clock ticking away again. Temporary battery connected onto this. Now I can see why it's come out, or why it wasn't in properly. There isn't enough slack. So once the clocks are in place, you've got to, well, to get them in place, you've got to pull them quite a bit out to get them on the end of this, and that's probably pulling that connector off. So what I'm going to have to wait and see is once I get the tank off, because I've traced the wire back onto the tank, to see if there's any routing issues for that cable. It's quite a complex cable, so it's not something you can remake. But at least now, let's go, first click is just like lights on, it's not the full ignition. And then we've now got our neutral and oil light, hopefully turn signal we have. Yep, and the other one is to be the generator and high beam, maybe. Which one's high beam? Okay, so it looks like that bottom light isn't working. If that is the high beam one, if I can read that right on the plastic. So I'll have to have a look and see what wire that is. if I can find a wiring diagram for this, or even just check out the bulb in there as well. It might be that. But yeah, an issue somehow with the cable routing that I need to sort out. What I'm going to do next is take the tank off. I need to get to the cable that leads up to the speedo to see if there's any more free that I can get out of that. And also I need to clean out just in the top the cap area to enable the filler cap to be an easier screw in and out. There's a lot of paint around there, so I'm going to clean that out, de-rust it if there is any, and give the tank a good looking over as well. Whilst I've got it off, it gives me a chance to look under there, see what else needs a good clean. Nice and clean. So the cable I'm trying to get to runs right around the front of the fork yokes, which kind of seems a bit odd. Yeah, I need to feed it up this side of the fork yoke, not underneath it and up, because that's restricting the length. Right, in order to do that, there isn't room for this to fit down behind the light bowl, so I'm going to have to take the bolts off here and here to give me the space to fit this back down through this gap. It doesn't appear that I can get it down that way as it is. I just need 1/4 of an inch extra. I've got more slack into this cable now. It was running in front of the yoke here and up in between the headlight bracket, which obviously is a longer run. What I managed to do is squeeze it back down to the back of the headlight bracket after undoing the bolt in here, because I could move the headlight, and also I had to push it through the space, the actual connector at the end, because it's huge, push it through the space under the fork because there wasn't the gap through that rubber, pass it through and then back up. Yeah, here we go. So the run of it is now a lot shorter through there, so that should give me enough room to plug it in, and then with the clocks which slide back onto the top of this stem here. So you plug it in first, slide it on, whereas before you had to put the clocks on and then reach around the back and try and get that fitted in. So that's that rerouted now. So we'll give this a general clean, get the clocks back in and move on to the next jobs. So another fix done on the back of the ignition key switch. So I've got the dash out at the moment, and what we're looking at here is this green one here is the first position of the key switch. The red is the power feed. So there was an issue when you go into first position that none of the lights would come on. Second position is the green that fits underneath. Kind of see it there. So this second wire underneath. That one was okay. So what I've had to do is a couple of new crimp connectors on this and also the power one, because they were fraying, and that sorted that out now. Next jobs will be looking at the tank over there and cleaning out the filler cap on that. So just taking the petcocks off. Let's see what we've got inside. Okay, so we've not got filters inside. It looks like we've got, yeah, a little bit of gunk in there. So reserve and full pipes. So we'll clean that out and just flush some fluids through the tank to get any little bits of debris out. Let's get the other side off as well. That was tight. Okay, so that'll be some pipe that came out earlier. Looks like it's lost that. We'll give that a clean up as well, and flush the tank through to get any of the debris out. There's possibly a gauze or something inside of this as well, so I'll have a look at these on the bench. So I'm going to clean out the inside of that cap as well. Doesn't need all that paint in there, and that will stop the cap from sticking. Now I know the grease will get taken off by the petrol, but gives it half a chance, and as long as over the course of time the new owner just keeps this clean, then we shouldn't have any issues. Let's just put a bit in the tank as well. Perfect, much better than it was. Bit of free play in that as well, and don't pinch it up too tight when you do it up. Right, so we'll put the cap back together. Job done on that. We'll clean the tank out next. In one of my other videos, I think it's the XL 185, I do a full tank clean using white vinegar for quite a few days, 4 or 5 days, and then phosphoric acid, and then a bicarbonate of soda to neutralise that, and then a flush out with water. This one doesn't need any of that. It's really good inside, but what I do want to do is get the little particles out of it. So I am just going to flush it with water, but straight after that I'm going to spray WD-40 in there and slosh it around as much as possible. I'll possibly heat it a little bit for just to try and dry some of that water out, because I don't want it flash rusting inside. So for now, just a bit of water. Okay, that should do. just to get the little particles out. Now I'm just going to heat it up a little bit, get the rest of the water out, and then do WD-40. So a quick test of the petcocks shows that on this one, as we can see, it flows through, and also if I switch that to reserve, it does as well. But on this one, if I just squirt that into there, reserve at the moment, that isn't going through, so I've got to get the front of that off. So it looks as though if I prise that off, there we go, take it off, we've got a knurled front piece to this. So I'm going to take that apart. Yeah, it's more than hand tight, so I'll get a pair of grips onto that and undo that, and we'll have a look at what's inside that needs unblocking. So here we go, we just grab that just above the body onto that knurled. Yep, and that turns. I'm going to be careful. I'm assuming it's a normal thread. It doesn't feel like it's tightening up. Okay. Yeah, that wants to move with fingers. Okay. A little bit tight still, but we'll keep going in the same direction. It's coming undone. Be careful with it. Not quite sure what I'm going to find in here. Boom. Okay, it's popped with a spring. Let's have a look. So, doesn't look too bad inside. But I'll pull that out. Obviously something's blocking one of the holes inside of that, and we'll give that a clean out. So I flushed that through. There was nothing major in there, which I'm quite surprised. There was nothing getting through, so kind of expected to see it fully blocked, but no, it does flow through. So what I'm going to do is put that back together with a little touch of grease as well to help it go back together. I know the grease will disappear once we get fuel in there, but it just helps me get the rubber and everything back into place. So a little touch of grease in there, and I'll put it on the rubber as well, but around that inside, the rubber are clean. Get that back in and lined up with the holes. Yep. Okay, that's lined up. It might have been the issue that the rubber was not lined up in there. There's a little bit of crud on the surface of this. Let's do the same, just put some grease on it to help me get it in. Too dry and it won't fit in the barrel. Now there's a little peg here which gives me the way round into that slot. So we'll drop it into that slot. I've now got to compress it in order to get that threaded back on. So I need to get that down in order to turn it, which is going to be a bit of a challenge. If I can pick up the thread, that's a really strong spring in there. So I'll work out a way to cramp that up. Might have to use the, can't really use the vise. Right, that was a struggle. It's not fully on yet, but I couldn't get it pressed down square with my fingers. So what I've done is with a pair of, we call them kind of 81s or nose pliers, I've got into those two grooves there, pushed down, and then turned it on so that it's a level push onto the thread, so it wasn't cross-threaded. And that now is going on. So I just need to pinch that up and then test it out again. So what we do, we just give that a test. Need to put the black cap back on it as well, but let's go and see if it flows through first. So we've got the control set to reserve at the moment, which is this shorter one. Yep, that's flowing through there. So we'll set that round to as if it were normal, which hasn't got the pipe in at the moment. Let's put that in there. Yep. Okay, so sorted. Let's put that back on. Right, let's get to some basics. I haven't checked the oil in this yet. Not much wrong with that. Level. It's got a max, it says 2 litres on there. So let's see where that comes to. It's just under it. It's about 3/4. It's not on the minimum. That's good. We'll leave it there. Okay, clocks are back on. I've got some fuel in it, just a couple of litres, and I've got it hooked up to a temporary battery at the moment. So let's see if it wants to start. Okay. I think it's only running on one cylinder. This cylinder is pipe is hot. The other one I can put my hand on, it's cool. So we've obviously got either a fuel or a spark issue on the right hand cylinder. Okay, I gave it a bit of a rev. It wanted to go on one cylinder only. It gave it a bit of a rev. It's obviously cleared something out carb wise, and now there it is ticking away on 2. There isn't much fuel in it, so it might cop out in a minute. Looks like we've sprung a leak. No, probably just got a stuck float or something. You can get the bowls off of these underneath. I'll pop that off and have a look and see what's going on. Right, so I've got the carb off and onto the bench. We'll take a look at what the floats are like. Okay, it's clean inside-ish. There's a few little bits. Yeah, no major debris. So let's see what float height is supposed to be set at. There's obviously some, not a lot actually. Hardly any. It's kind of setting almost right on the bottom there. We're going to let that rest on the valve. Yeah, hardly. Okay. Right, let's pop the pin out. Okay. So they have a spline on them. So kind of unlike the Japanese, it's just a pin that's pushed through. These have got a little spline on them, so you can't twist them. So it looks like you just have to pull them laterally. Love it. Doesn't want to move. There we go. Got it. There's a little wire to hold it onto that. You can see that in there, in the end of the valve, which goes over the foot. Okay, so look in there. So it looks pretty clean. You need to go and get a torch just to shine in there. Yeah, clean on the seat, and the head of this is good as well. So what we'll do is just check the float height. While I'm here, let's have a look at the pilot and main jets just to make sure that they're clean. Right, that's a sizable pilot jet. Which is in fact a little bit blocked. Not completely, just a couple. So we'll give that a clean out. Let's look at the main jets. And that's clean through. Okay, that is two. do just give that a squirt of brake cleaner through there, just to make sure it so in there. So let's give this a clean out. So a small piece of copper wire. So I look down the pipe, there's no light coming through. Okay, so put the wire on there, let's give it a spin. Yep, can see through that now. Okay. And let's look at the cross holes. I'll give it a blow through. There we go, cleaning all of them now. Let's put that back in. And I need to go and look up what the float height is for these. Right, according to Google AI, standing for any information, there's many a time I found that this is wrong. It just presents you with anything it finds. This is the 40mm carb, so this is saying it's 28mm. That is verified when I look at some of the other sites as well. They're saying that the 40 is a 28mm setting on this, measured from the lowest part of the edge of the float bowl. So just to check, this is the 40mm, just over by the look of it. According to this, it's about 27, 26, 27. The angle on the camera isn't quite what I'm looking at. So I'm going to bend that little tang so it sits there a bit more, which when it's upside down effectively means there's less fuel in the float bowl. So it shouldn't then hit the overflow. So I did bend the tang out, but as I was doing that, I noticed that the two floats weren't sitting parallel to one another. They were slightly bent in at the bottom and fouling in the bottom of the or top as the carb is up the other way of the carb. Not that they would get there under normal operation, but it just highlighted to me that this piece of metal here had a curvature on it. So I've straightened that out so that the tops of these are now flat, and now got that set, that middle part of the float there at 28. So I've got the gasket back in, cork gasket. We'll get this on and tightened up with the clamp back on the bike, and let's just see if that's solved our problem. Got it hooked up to the van because I've managed to flatten all my other batteries, ticking over nicely.